6:30. It's 6:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. The date is Monday, January the 24th. Time is 6:30 p.m. And this is the regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal for the month of January. We will be doing quite an amount of business this evening. Most of it coming forward from the committee meetings that were held during the month. And so the pace of the meeting will be relatively brisk. Having called the meeting to order, I'm calling for approval of the agenda, and Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have that motion.
Thank you, Mayor Seo. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. The Municipal Council approves the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Council, you've heard the motion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And moving on to item 3, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures here this evening?
None here. Nobody?
None here, heard, none recorded. Moving to item number 4 on the agenda. Number 4 on the agenda is delegations and presentations. And we do have a presentation here this evening from the Volunteer Center. And we have Mary Lynn Villeneuve and Tamara Baldwin with us. I'll be asking who's in charge of the presentation to make the introductions. And I just say, ladies, I believe that the clerk has reviewed with you. It's a 10-minute presentation. And I'll ask the clerk to just kind of signal to me when the 10 minutes is up, and then that'll allow a few minutes for questions from the council, if any. So who's going to be making the introductions?
Hi, sorry, that will be me, Tamara, and then Mary Lynn will be doing the, be going through our presentation slides for you.
Very good, go ahead.
All right, well, hello everyone, and thank you for having us and providing us the opportunity to present to you tonight. I am Tamara Baldwin. I am the board chair of the Volunteer Center, and Mary Lynn Villeneuve, who will be doing the bulk of the presentation, is our center manager. The Volunteer Center had its 40th anniversary of being in operations in October of the past year, as well as our community volunteer income tax program, which we'll speak a lot of this evening, is at its 37th year. So Mary Lynn is going to go and explain a few things for you guys.
Thanks. Is somebody doing the PowerPoint for me?
Have you got that, Rebecca?
I believe.
Sorry, through the chair, that's usually done by the delegation.
Okay.
If you screen share, I will be able to permit you to do that.
Okay. Hang on. That should be it. No.
Okay, now we see something, but it's not your first page.
No, it should be. I can screen share, but it's not coming up, the one that we do.
That's it, right?
Do you have it?
Do you have it, Rebecca?
So through the chair, I'm doing virtual tonight, so no, I don't have it with me. Mary Lynn, I just saw you posted up there. It looked like it was on one of the last slides, though.
Okay.
It looks like you kept closing it out.
What are you seeing?
We're seeing your screen right now. It's
So are
on,
you?
it looks like it's slide 5.
Oh, okay. So that's it?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
So do you see one?
yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So thank you, Your Worship, members of council and staff, for this opportunity to present to you on behalf of the Volunteer Center of St. Lawrence Rideau. My name's Mary Lynn Villeneuve, and I'm the manager of the Volunteer Center. So as we look back at 2021 and welcome 2022, it doesn't mean that we can just forget about everything from the past. We've seen the repercussions of 2021, the last 22 months, and what's still to come. The COVID pandemic forced so many nonprofit agencies, services, and businesses to pivot in unexpected ways. And so it is providing us also with an opportunity to improve, refocus, and be creative. So this evening, I'm going to take a look at some of the programs and the services of the Volunteer Center. And of course, I'm going to start with the one that we're most known for, and that's our Community Volunteer Income Tax Program. So we've been celebrating, we're celebrating 37 years of service of this program. We provide free income tax filing for low-income filers. We have 5 locations throughout the tax season. So we do Brockville, Prescott, Gananoque, Elgin, Kempville. Residents of the Edwardsburg Cardinal tend to access both our Prescott and Brockville locations. We have 24 trained volunteers who complete 2,600 to 3,000 tax returns annually. During tax season, we have the 5 locations, but we do offer the tax program year-round through the Brockville location. So in spring of last year, we wanted to do a focus group, a focus impact study on the Cvitp. And we collected data from our own statistics from Canada Revenue Agency and from the United Counties of Leeds, Grenville. And what we learned was that the Cvitp actually has a return of approximately $24 million. You heard me right, 24 million back into the pockets of our most vulnerable residents. So that is comes through from tax refunds, benefits, and transfer payments. Did you know that only 24% of Canadians access this free tax clinics, and that a recent study showed that 10 to 12% of Canadians don't even file their taxes. So they're missing out on approximately $1.7 billion for families and individuals. The tax program has been identified as an important strategy for poverty reduction, not just here in our region, but across Canada. We see a great opportunity for this program to grow in our region through additional locations. COVID did have some impact on how the program is delivered. We've done it in person in the past. And when COVID hit, we had to devise a plan that we would still be able to continue to offer this program. And we did it, presented to Canada Revenue Agency our idea of being able to do it file by phone and drop off locations. So again, we're going to continue with that. They took that idea and actually shared it to all of the agencies and all of the locations across Canada as a model for how to deliver the tax program. We know that people are struggling right now, so that the tax program we anticipate definitely to grow. So we are looking for ways to grow it through different additional drop-off locations and adding additional volunteers so that we can continue to support the residents of our area. So building on the success of the tax program, we introduced a financial literacy and empowerment program to help residents and help our clients, our tax clients in particular, gain more confidence and knowledge with financial matters such as banking, credit, savings, debt, budgeting. It's delivered by trained volunteers, leveraging the work of Prosper Canada. And to date, we've delivered 41 adult workshops with approximately 194 participants. And then in June of 2021, we decided to do a focus group on youth financial literacy, teens and money. And so we worked with an area high school teacher And we haven't really looked back from that program. We have a waiting list each month for youth who want to learn more about finances. So we have 3 90-minute workshops each month, and youth or students for ages 14 to 21 participate virtually 3 evenings. And again, it's to help them gain knowledge, access resources, and confidence about building their financial future. When youth are empowered and given the opportunity to participate in their own financial stability, they gain confidence and understand better what resources are available to them. So we've done 18 workshops to date for our youth. And we did this outside of the high school curriculum. And that way we were also able to provide youth with 10 community volunteer hours for their participation. So we know that by mobilizing volunteer role models and then combine it with community collaborations such as the Connect Youth, the EEC, Employment and Education Center's Youth Job Connection Program, the CSC Getting Ahead program, we're able to deliver our workshops in safe, non-judgmental environments, and we can generate positive attitudes towards financial education and well-being. So 40 years of providing service to Leeds and Grenville, and we work with many organizations partnering, and here's a list of just some of the few that we've partnered with or worked with and support over the years. We support them through volunteer recruitment and referral and training as well. We also have some formal associations with memberships through Volunteer Canada, the Ontario Volunteer Centre Network, the Tamarack Institute, and these organizations enhance our skills and build our profile in the community and in the province and across the country. So they're important associations for the Volunteer Centre. We represent the Volunteer Centre on many advisory tables, including being asked this past year to participate in the Canada Learning Bond National Champions Network to promote Canada Learning Bond and RESPs. Along with the FCAC, I sit on an advisory table for National Financial Literacy Strategy for the next 5 years. It's Make Change That Counts. We do a weekly radio spot to highlight volunteer opportunities and all the work that the Volunteer Centre does. We're the intake agency for LEAP, which is the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, where we support people who are behind on their energy bills. And then November 1st of last year, we launched a national partnership with Volunteer Calgary as the first volunteer center in Ontario to launch a digital volunteer platform to support our nonprofit agencies and organizations, which is available on our website. So each year we do recognize, community volunteers, and we've interviewed, screened, referred over 100 volunteers during COVID. We put out a COVID emergency response team where we had 60 volunteers sign up in the first 3 days to help support area residents with grocery pickup and delivery. We do the home delivery service for the library, all of our food banks. Volunteers go for our vaccination clinics and screening clinics are screened done through the Volunteer Centre. Just many of the ways that we've been helping through the pandemic. We also provide workshops and training. So we've done board governance, social media 101. We've done a turf trust and collaboration where we've had 40 community partners come together for a day of learning. And we continue to provide guidance for all of our organizations that have put their volunteer programs on hold and are now starting to relaunch them. So we provide them for guidance for handbooks and how to re-engage volunteers during this pandemic. So the Volunteer Centre operates entirely on grants, on sponsorships, agency memberships, and donations. So we make sure that we're raising community awareness through trade shows and community events. If we're not organizing them, we're participating in them. We have conversations with our MP and MPP to keep them up to date with everything that's going on at the Volunteer Center. Of course, our community income tax program, our financial literacy workshops, and our fundraising event. Many of you may know is our key event is our Dancing Stars of Leeds Granville, which we had to cancel in 2021. And unfortunately, because it's an early event, it goes in March, we've had to cancel it for 2022 again. So 2023 will be our 10th anniversary, fingers crossed. So we know that volunteers really have been the backbone to our recovery and getting through COVID. And we are committed to enhancing and improving the lives of our low risk and at-risk and low income community members through the support of volunteers and the financial literacy program and the community volunteer income tax program. I think what's really important to understand and emphasize here is that the programs that we do really are not municipal based. They're available to all residents of Leeds and Granville, no matter where they reside. So building the Center of Excellence for the Volunteer Center, we want to be the go-to place for community support by leveraging the knowledge, practical experience that exists and here within our organization. And our goal is to work on building a sustainable operations, sustainable center. We believe that the more people we reach, the greater impact we're going to have in our communities. Thank you.
Well, your timing is perfect. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Your presentation was very crisp, and that's the way we like it.
Thank you.
And your slides were good. Were very self-explanatory. I'm just going to say that I was aware of the Volunteer Center because Marion Daly, I think at one point was associated with it. She had put the touch on me for a couple of things. I can't remember just what. She wanted me to go dancing or something.
Yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the work that you do at tax time, and I think it's an absolute travesty that so many people fail to file their income tax returns and take advantage of some of the rebates and programs that are available. So that's a great program, and your financial literacy program for youth, I think, is a great offering as well. But I'm not going to say any more. I'll just open the floor for questions or comments from council. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Just a couple of quick questions. The first question I have is how many staff do you people have? Full time.
So I am full-time and I have 2 part-time staff who work 20 hours a week each to support the financial literacy program. We have funding to support them.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And my second question has to do, you had mentioned that you had a library delivery service. How does that work? Do the libraries in the area get in touch with you? Or is it something that you send out information and look for feedback?
Yeah, so generally what happens, it's primarily the Brockville Library, to be honest. So what they do is the second Thursday of each month, they have a home delivery service. And we provide them with 3 volunteers who go to the library. They pick up all of the material, the delivery addresses, and go out and do the exchange of material. Anybody that's returning anything, they pick up and bring back as well.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Other questions from other members of council?
I just have a quick.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for the presentation tonight and the excellent work that the Volunteer Center does in our communities. My only question for you tonight after such a great presentation is that you're here. Are you just making a presentation or do you have an ask for our council?
So we will have a formal request, a grant request for council. We will put it through on your community grant program for $1,000 to support the work of the volunteer center.
And the community grant ask will fall under your category of relief of poverty and health advancement, as that's the primary goal of our tax program. And just so you know, the threshold for the tax program as designated by the feds is $35,000 for a single person, $45,000 for a couple. So when you think of wages and the hits that have happened, that's how we're helping support all the communities with the tax program, as it's one less expense that they're having to pay for, which is part of the reason for our ask, is so that we can make sure that we can do this throughout Leeds Grenfell and hit up everyone that is needing the program.
I can add to that too by just saying that we can identify that for Edwardsburg Cardinal is about $250,000 in refunds, tax transfer payments and benefits, but that's only by the files that we can identify. With the file by phone service, due to confidentiality, we don't track all of the geographical locations. And because clients may access through Prescott or Brockville, if it's a file by phone service, we can't track that 100%, but the ones that we can track clearly result in about $250,000.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor Hunter.
Thank you. Excellent presentation. I just have one question. What's your yearly budget that you operate under?
We're just working on that. So I think we're usually around $100,000 to $110,000, $12,000.
That's annual, but annual growth, annual turnover, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Councillor, any questions?
No, fine.
Okay, I just have one
We are-
final question before I let you go. I was looking at the slide which gave your the group you're seeking to serve and what the income levels are. So for individuals, maximum of 35,000. I'm assuming that's 35,000 annual income, and for a couple, a maximum of 45,000 annual income. Do you have any way or any statistics which would help you analyze what percentage of that population you're reaching?
It's not just a statistic that we've pulled up yet. We've just, like I say, last year, we just started really analyzing the return on investment or the impact that it has financially. So we do, like I say, between 2,700 and 3,000 tax returns. Honestly, I don't know what percentage that is of how many in Leeds and Grenville should be accessing the program.
How do those people find you?
So a lot of it is repeat clientele, unfortunately. We do a lot of promotion through the radio, through social media, just
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, through our food banks. We do a lot of work with our agency partners, the social services program. So we do a lot through the agencies we work with.
Okay, thank you very much. And if there's no other questions from council, I'm going to thank you for your presentation. Very crisp and very well laid out. Appreciate the work that you do and wish you the best for 2022. And I think I heard someplace that you would be filing an application. So we look to see that application when it gets here.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
So much.
And thanks again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Oh, well, you're welcome to stay and monitor the rest of the meeting. It's better than dinner and a movie.
I'll go grab my popcorn.
I'm an old Cardinal girl. I'm not staying.
All right, I'm moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes of previous council meetings. And item 5A, regular council, December 13th, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Disha. Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the regular meeting dated December 13th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Council, you've heard the motion. Are there any questions, errors or omissions? Hearing none, about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the next is the special council meeting of January the 10th. Deputy Mayor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm a little lost here. There we go. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the special meeting dated January 10th, 2022.
Council, you've heard the motion. Are there any errors or omissions, questions or discussion? Hearing none, vote to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And now I'm moving to item number 6 on the agenda, which is business arising from those meetings. Does anyone have any business arising?
Just one question.
Go ahead.
Page 11 of 188, I believe, is members inquired about the progress being made with parking issues experienced on County Road 44 in Spencerville. Noted that there are 3 signs erected, I believe now. Have heard from 2 business owners in regard to their displeasure with the no parking that is there and the signage. Is there really a need for side-by-side signs on the east side of County Road 44?
Okay, so that issue was discussed with the director of Public Works the next morning after this meeting. And I asked the exact question that you've just asked, and the engineers were to look into that. I don't know whether the issue's been addressed or not. I haven't had an opportunity to just drive down the street and make a note of that.
Still there. Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions before I ask one? And my question comes on page 15 of 188. And on page 15 of 188, at item number 8L on the agenda, we come to the County Road 2 Newport Municipal Drain meeting. And that meeting has been scheduled. It's in the CAO's report, actually. It's been scheduled for 6:30 on February the 9th. I wonder, Mr. CAO, if you could tell us, is the meeting at the South Edward Bird Center or here at the municipal office?
So it's here at the municipal office.
Okay, so it's upstairs here,
Yes.
upstairs municipal office. Okay, that answers my question. And does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, no other business arising. I'm going to go now then to item number 7, which is the various committee meetings that were held, the minutes from those meetings. The first is Port Management Committee's meetings of November the 17th and December the 15th. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps that Municipal Council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meetings dated November 17th and December 15th, 2021.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Are there any errors or omissions or questions arising from any of those, either of those 2 meeting minutes? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the next meeting is the meeting of the whole budget number 2 from December the 9th. Councillor Hunter.
Moved myself, second by Deputy Mayor Disha. Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the combined committee of the whole budget number 2 meeting dated December 9th, 2021.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. You've heard the motion. Questions, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And moving then to item number 7C, the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance of January the 10th. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated January 10th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Questions, discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. So now I'm going to item number 8 on the agenda, which is the action and information items that are coming forward from the committees. And item number 8A is the council response to the 2021 audit questionnaire. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the Municipal Council authorize the mayor to sign the response letter to the auditors as required of the annual audit as recommended by the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And item number 8B, an application for severance on Browsville Road coming forward from Zanderland concerning Lawless. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that Municipal Council recommend in favor of severance application B 169-21 and request that the following notes be included in the severance decision. 1, a grading and drainage plan will be required at the building permit stage to mitigate potential drainage impacts to neighboring properties. And 2, an entranceway on the retained land shall be located along the westerly portion property line. The access road shall not be raised above the elevation of the neighbor's property to ensure that it does not direct water in that direction. This is to be reviewed at the time an application for interest permit is submitted, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Questions, if any? Those in favor? Motion is carried. Item number 8C, the 2021 annual water reports for the Cardinal Water System and the Edwardsburg Industrial Park Water System. Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the Municipal Council 1 received the 2021 annual water reports for the Cardinal Water System and Edwardsburg Distribution System, and 2, direct staff to post the 2021 annual water reports on the township website, and 3, direct staff to notify users through the social media and newspaper advertisement of report availability as recommended by the Committee of the Whole Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor, well discussed at the committee level. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And item number 8D, the IntelliVote electronic voting services for the 2022 municipal election. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that Municipal Council pass a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with IntelliVote Systems Incorporated for the provisions of electronic voting services for the 2022 municipal election.
Thank you very much. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And item number 8E, the Port RBC Credit Facilities Loan Agreement for the industrial property. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps that Municipal Council 1 authorizes the mayor and CAO to sign the RBC bank loan agreement between the Township of Edwardsburg and the Royal Bank of Canada, and 2, authorizes the mayor and CAO to sign the banking documents Schedule H on the day that the loan is to be transferred into the Port of Johnstown's account, and 3, that the signed RBC loan agreement be issued to the Port of Johnstown General Manager to ensure that all necessary documents are provided to the bank as outlined in the banking agreement, and 4, direct the port general manager to provide $2,250,000 plus the down payment of $700,000 plus any transaction fees from the Port of Johnstown's RDC operating account to the Port of Johnstown's lawyer to complete the purchase of the property known as 2822 County Road 2, Johnstown, Ontario, as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. At long last, after a lot of in-camera meetings to discuss this purchase, the motion is on the floor. Further discussion, if any? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And number 8F, the Port of Johnstown year-end report and pre-audited financial statement. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschanel, that Municipal Council 1 received the Port of Johnstown 2021 year-end review report, and 2 received the financial statement as per bylaw 2017-02, and that the financial statement be submitted and interpreted to Council as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Okay, thank you very much. And attached to this motion is the internally generated non-audited port financial statement as prepared by the port management staff. So further, and this was well discussed at the port meeting held last week and spoken to by the general manager and his staff, especially the year-end review report. So any further discussion here this evening? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm moving to item number 8G, which is the call for additional rapid antigen tests.
I have that one, Mr. Mayor. I am going to move it, and I do have a seconder. I'm moving it because of the importance that I feel for this, but I will not be supporting it as it is written. But I believe it needs to get on the table. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. Whereas COVID-19 testing, specifically the rapid antigen testing, is an additional screening methods, that can help stop the spread of COVID-19 in workplaces and other high-risk settings. Whereas organizations can choose to have employees test on site or have them self-swab at home before coming into the workplace, and whereas the rapid antigen testing works together with other COVID-19 infection prevention methods that help keep the workforce and public safe. Whereas the federal government of Canada has earmarked 54 million rapid antigen tests for the province of Ontario, which is 14 million fewer than the province originally requested of the federal government, and now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal strongly urges federal and provincial governments to provide the province of Ontario with fair and equitable share of COVID-19 rapid antigen test kits. And further, that the federal and provincial governments ensure that open funding is made available to assist municipalities in addressing their operating needs and deficits when managing the impacts of the latest COVID-19 Omicron variant. And further, that a copy of the resolution be forwarded to MP Michael Barrett, MPP Steve Clark, MP Scott Reed, Prime Minister Trudeau, and Premier Ford.
Okay, now because the motion is on the floor and because of some discussion that I had heard prior to the meeting and sensing some reluctance here, I'm just turning my attention to the 2 operative clauses. Well, actually, there are 3 operative clauses here. But if I look at the first operative clause and the second operative clause, if there are no difficulties with those 2 operative clauses, and if the reluctance to support the motion comes from the rationale clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4, is it possible that the motion could be amended to remove, assuming that I'm understanding the problem correctly, could we remove one or two or three or four of the operative clauses by amending the motion and making it palatable in its operative clauses? Would that help people support the motion?
So in general, if I get the gist of the motion, it's that we recognize that rapid antigen tests are fantastic for workplace. We recognize that
That's not the operative clause. And we don't even have to recognize those things. If we just look at the operative clause doesn't recognize the value of the tests or anything else. It just asks that the federal and provincial government provide the province with a fair and equitable share of the tests. That's all we really need to recognize.
Okay, so but I need to make sure that I understand the rationale behind it.
No, because we can remove that rationale if it's bothering you.
Okay, well.
Or we can amend it.
The reality is that the federal government was asked to supply tests to the province. They didn't supply as many as they were asked to supply. So when we get to now therefore be it resolved, we're asking both the feds and the province to provide tests to the province. So shouldn't it be that we're asking the feds to provide the provincial government with a fair and equitable share of COVID-19 tests?
That could be also amended.
Okay, and for me, I'm not sure why or where the next operative comes from, but like, to me, it has nothing to do with supplying the province with rapid test kits. I'm not even sure why it's there. And then the last part is, I'm unsure why, like, I understand why we would send it to MP Barrett. I understand why we would send it to MP Clark. I'm unsure why we would send it to an opposition backbencher.
Who's that?
Scott Reed.
Oh, okay.
And I understand why we would send it to Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford, but I mean, to me, the people that we should be sending it to would be the federal Minister of Health, which is Jean-Yves Duclos, and the other one would be the Minister of Health for Ontario, which would be Christine Elliott. And I would assume that we would want others to piggyback on this. So I would assume that then we would want to make sure that AMA would distribute it so that we would get it, that others would get this in their correspondence package. Otherwise, why are we, I mean, I get it, but why are we doing it other?
Okay, so as a bit of background, the county mayors from both the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville and the county of Lanark, which is both counties are served by the same Leeds, Grenville, Lanark health unit. All of the mayors in those two counties meet weekly at 10 o'clock with the medical officer of health, Dr. Stewart, and the MPP, which is Minister Clark, and MP Barrett, and MP Scott Reed. And as a result of the conversation this week, there was a lot of discussion about the fact that the feds had not provided the province with the number of kits that the province was expecting. The province went out and got some more of their own, and both MP Clark and MP Barrett asked that if we could provide them with a resolution of support, it might be helpful in their work. So that's the background to the resolution. And I called Mr. Grant, the CAO, just shortly after the meeting saying, is it too late to get something on the floor that would serve the request that I heard at the meeting with the aforementioned folks? So this was put together, and now I don't want to spend a lot of time rewriting a motion that's on the table. But we could adjust the motion by removing offensive packages from it. And if that can be done, enough to get the motion through some support here this evening, I think it would be helpful to the larger picture, which is trying to get more rapid antigen tests into the province and into the hands of not only the municipalities, but other employers as well. And just as a bit of background information, if the municipality applies directly to the province through a website that I've been told about by the warden, and if the province has the tests available, they're supplied from that source directly to the municipality at no cost. Now, Mr. CEO, did you get that confirmed? I had gotten that from the warden. Was that confirmed anyway?
That is confirmed, and we are registered, but I think we're like anybody else.
There's no test.
There's no test.
Okay, so
380.
yeah, so that will explain the urgency behind the motion. So if there's any way at all of making this motion acceptable, the chair is prepared to entertain any number of amendments to deal with the essence of the operative clause.
I'll go if you want. So
Why don't we just remove a few of the operative rationale clauses?
okay, well, first I'd like I will get there. I think in the very first part of it, method, it should be method, not methods.
But let's not deal with, let's deal with the essence of it.
We just spent time going through minutes where we did spelling corrections and errors and omissions. Why would we choose to put something through that has errors in it and then have to correct it again later?
Chair is prepared to entertain your amendments. Would you please put them forward?
Okay, so method instead of methods, helps instead of help in the third whereas.
Read it to me.
Whereas the rapid antigen testing works together with other COVID-19 infection
Third clause.
prevention methods and the helps. I think maybe it should be that helps keep the workforce and public safe. So it would be change the to that and helps. Nothing with the next one. Now, therefore be it resolved that the corporation of the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal asks the federal government to provide the provincial government of Ontario with a fair and equitable share of tests. I would remove, if you're asking me my changes, I would remove the next one altogether. And further, it be sent to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, MP Michael Barrett, MPP Steve Clark, the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Federal Minister of Health, which is Jean-Yves Duclos, and the Provincial Minister of Health, which is Christine Elliott.
I'll have to ask you to go through that again. I can't write as fast as you're talking.
Sorry, where did you get left off?
The first operative clause is okay.
No. Now therefore be it resolved.
No. Sorry. The first rationale clause is okay.
The first rationale clause I asked to remove the S on method. So method instead of methods. Now, second one's fine. Third one, you're moving down to whereas the rapid antigen testing works together with the other COVID-19 infection prevention methods that helps keep the workforce and public safe.
Go ahead.
Fourth one's fine by me.
This is your amendment. You're going to be looking for a seconder.
Yes.
So,
I'm going to second it.
okay, you're going to second it.
So now we go to now therefore be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal asks the federal government to provide the provide the provincial government of Ontario with a
The federal government, provide the province of Ontario,
the provincial government of Ontario
government of Ontario, go ahead,
with a fair and equitable share of tests
of rapid COVID-19 rapid antigen tests.
Yes. Sure.
Okay, so we'll now read. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal ask the federal government to provide the provincial government of Ontario with a fair and equitable share of COVID-19 rapid antigen testing kits.
Sure.
Okay, so that's now.
Scratch the next one altogether.
Scratch the next one altogether.
And further be sent.
And further, that a copy of the resolution be, what's wrong with the word forward?
Nothing at all. Sorry, I was just
Go ahead.
reading what I wrote in here. Forwarded to AMO,
Amo.
MP Barrett, MPP Clark. I had removed Scott Reed. I wasn't aware that Scott was part of the health unit call. If he should be in there, that's fine. The Prime Minister, the Premier, I believe both the federal and provincial ministers of health should be in there, which are Jean-Yves Duclos
And the federal and provincial
Ministers of Health.
ministers of health. Okay, is that the extent of the amendment?
Yep.
Okay, so I have the amendment moved by Deputy Mayor Deschamps and seconded by Councillor Hunter. Does anyone want to hear the amendments read again? Hearing none. I'm going to call the question on the amendments. Those in favor of the amendments, please signify.
Yes.
The motion, the amendments are carried. Now I'm going to deal with the motion in its entirety as amended. And I'm going to read the entire motion as amended. Whereas COVID-19 testing, specifically the rapid antigen testing, is an additional screening method that can help stop the spread of COVID-19 in workplaces and other high-risk settings. And whereas organizations can choose to have employees test on site or have them self-swab at home before coming into the workplace. And whereas the rapid antigen testing works together with other COVID-19 infection prevention methods that helps keep the workforce and public safe. And whereas the federal government of Canada has earmarked 54 million rapid antigen tests for the province of Ontario, which is 14 million fewer tests than what the province originally requested of the federal government. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal ask the federal government to provide the provincial government of Ontario with a fair and equitable share of COVID-19 rapid antigen testing kits. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to AMO, MP Michael Barrett, MPP Steve Reed, MP Scott Reed, Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Ford, and the federal and provincial ministers of health. That's the motion in its entirety. Those in favor of the motion as amended?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. I know that your support will be appreciated. So now I'm moving on to item number 9 on the agenda, which is correspondence. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. Then municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated. December 16th, 2021, December 22nd, 2021, January 5th, 2022, January 12th, 2022, January 19th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Questions, if any? Hearing none, I'm going to call the question. Those in favor?
All right,
Motion is carried. And then I'm on now to item number 10, which is approval of municipal disbursements. And Councillor Cameron, I think you have that motion.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps that municipal council approves payment of the municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated December 2nd, 2021-145, $49,725.65. Report dated December 14th, 2021-147, $1,579,950.74. Report dated December 16th, 2021-149, $139,490.60. Report dated December 16th, 2021-150, $274,918.36. Report dated January 2nd, 2021-152, $108,609.89. Report dated January 7th, 2021-153, $173,223.23. Report dated January 19th, 2021-157, $148,749.39. Report dated January 21, 2022. I need a ruling from Mr. CAO.
-002, that's correct.
Yes, but the previous one was January 19th.
Yeah, but it was probably.
It was still 21 disbursements. Okay, that's fine. Then I will continue with 2022-002, $263,066.00. Report dated January 21, 2022-003, $259,276.33, bringing it to a total of $2,997,997.10.19.
Thank you very much. And the disbursement sheets have been circulated. Are there any questions?
I do believe I do have one, Mr. Mayor.
Ed?
And that is on page 133, and it regards the expenditure for Latimer Road. And just bear with me a moment. Yes, $54,000, $213 and change for Latimer Road. I'd just like to know, is that Latimer Road now totally complete, or is there still more work to be done? And my other question referring to that is, was there any money spent prior to it, and was this just the final push to get the road finished?
Through the chair.
Through the chair to either the treasurer or the CAO.
So through the chair, I'll ask the treasurer to speak to this.
Thank you.
Certainly through the chair, this particular invoice finalizes that project. We'll actually be under budget because we had budgeted $54,500. This is tax in, so by the time we do the rebated tax, it's less. It's about 48 or 49,000, and that finishes the project. We did do some of the project in 2020 as well. So we had started that project in 2020, and this is the final aspect to that. This was the slurry coat and the guardrails.
That is sufficient for me, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
So just clarification to the treasurer, if I may. So North Grenville waited till the very end. We've just had the one invoice.
For 2021, yes. Yes, the guardrails were actually installed late in the year, from what I understand.
So are the guardrails on this invoice?
Yes, they are.
So we've just had the one invoice for the entire project.
No, we started the project in 2020 itself. So we had started and a lot of the road work was done in 2020. And we whipped forward the balance. The original project was, I believe, about 200,000. And we were we were half that. So we had about 102 or 103,000 was the original budget costs. Part of the project was done in 2020. And then the balance of the project was done in 2021, which was the slurry coat and the guardrails.
And so the total cost of the project then?
Was budgeted about 103.5, I believe, or 102.5. But it was spread over 2 years.
Yes. And the total cost over the 2 years? I think that's what.
I don't have. No, I don't have that number right off the top of my head. I would have to get back to council with that.
Okay, so you get the answer to your question?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, the motion is still on the floor here. We'll call Councillor Hunter.
I just have one question. I brought it up once before. There's 3 bills on here in different places where we went to Beach Hardware and Prescott to get parts for chainsaws up. And one was for some cleaning stuff. I don't understand why our employees are driving into Prescott to buy parts when we got a home hardware in both Spencerville and Cardinal do cleaning supplies and stuff, and we got a steel dealer right in Spencerville here that sells steel parts. Why we're driving it out of the township to get parts when we have ones that sell them right in our township. So, and it's not only the cost of parts and stuff are probably the same no matter which place you buy them on, but it's the cost of the transportation and the labor that we're paying out for driving into Prescott and back when we're right here. I think it's unnecessary.
So through the chair to the CEO, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That comment is noted, and I will relay those comments.
Thank you. Just follow up to that question. I'd just like to point out that let's not forget that the beaches also live in this township as well.
Well, I have no
And
problem
and pay
with
taxes here as well.
I know they do, but it's just the cost of the labor and the transportation.
I understand.
We're driving to get it. It's the same question I brought up a number of years ago for the port. They were going into Prescott to buy stuff when they had companies that would deliver right to the door for almost the same money. So the labor and the transportation costs money. That ends up costing us more money than what the part is that we don't get. So.
Okay, question has been asked. The CAO will indicate that he will forward the comments. And perhaps we get a follow-up, Mr. CAO, at the Finance Committee meeting. I still have the motion on the floor to deal with. Are there any further questions with regard to the disbursement sheets? If there are no further questions with regard to the disbursement sheets, I'm going to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm at item number 11 on the agenda, which is the various bylaws that are coming forward this evening. And the first is 11A, which is a bylaw to amend our procedural bylaw to enable electronic participation. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-15, being a bylaw to govern the proceedings of council and committees of council, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Very good. The motion is on the floor. Anyone want to speak to the motion? Hearing none, about to call the question on first and second reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, and it's carried unanimously. The motion can proceed to third reading. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-15, being a bylaw to govern the proceedings of council and committees of council, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-03. So.
Thank you very much. I'm about to call the question on third reading, but before I do, I just want to make a few comments from the chair. So council is amending this procedural bylaw to allow electronic participation for a 6-month period. I think it's to the end of July. And the reason that we've done so is not because council members have any hesitation in attending meetings at their desks, and you can see over a period of time, if you watch the videos of these meetings, that all of council is at their desk for almost all meetings. Now we do have an exception here this evening. Councillor Dillabaugh sends regrets because he is sick this evening, and that was one of the motivating factors behind this amendment to the bylaw, because so many folks becoming sick from COVID-19, council was worried that should 3 of us become sick with COVID-19 and be unable to attend in person at these meetings, we would be able to carry on the business of council virtually by virtue of this change to the procedural bylaw. So I'm going to call now the question on third and final reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is carried. And going now to bylaw number 11B, which is the Port RBC Credit Facilities and Loan Agreement. And before I ask for the bylaw to come forward for first and second reading, I will indicate that this bylaw is only going to get first and second reading here this evening because we have a chicken and egg situation before us, insofar as this bylaw will eventually incorporate an addendum which will show the interest rate on the loan that we're taking out. And that loan interest rate will not be available until we actually draw down the loan. And it must be drawn down before February the 12th because the bank has given us that date for amending our existing banking agreement with RBC. So we will give the bylaw first and second reading this evening, which is first reading is introduction of the bylaw and second reading is approval in principle. And we will give the bylaw third reading once we know the interest rate in the amendment agreement. So first and second reading, and I think I have Councillor Cameron introducing the bylaw.
Thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-36 to execute an agreement for credit and lease facilities with the Royal Bank of Canada for the purchase of industrial property on behalf of the Port of Johnstown, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, now, anybody want to speak to this agreement? Hearing none, I'm about to call the vote on first and second reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
So that motion is carried unanimously, but we will withhold third reading until we have the rate of the loan so that we can complete Schedule H. So now I'm proceeding to item number 11C on the agenda, which is the bylaw to execute the IntelliVote electronic voting services agreement. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement for electronic voting services with IntelliVote Systems Incorporated, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. And about to call the question on first and second reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, and it is carried unanimously, and it can proceed to third reading.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron. Did I move the last one up? I'm sorry, I just said John Hunter. It may have been.
It was,
Was
Councillor Hunter was on
Okay.
first and second.
Okay, good. So it's seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron that a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement for electronic voting services with IntelliVote Systems Incorporated be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-04.
Thank you very much. Discussion on third reading.
Just one comment, if I may.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, and I forgot to do it earlier when we were discussing it under the action items, and I just wanted to commend the clerks group for Leeds and Grenville for the hard work that they did managing to secure such a good price. They saved probably, I don't know, 60 or 65 cents per elector by working together to get that price. It would have cost us a heck of a lot more for phone and computer, the ability to vote by computer had they not have done that great work. So I just wanted to commend them for the good work.
Thank you very much. That's a good observation. And they did work together. Maybe just follow up on that a little bit before I call the question. Can the clerk tell us how many of the townships are going to participate electronically in this vote?
Through the chair, I don't have the number off the top of my head. We were able to recruit a couple more of the outlying municipalities that did not participate in the 2018 election. Off the top of my head, I do remember in 2018, Front of Young not participating, and we did convince Front of Young to participate with us this time around. The only municipality that I can think of that is not participating with us is the Township of Athens. But I
Okay.
have to double check. Again, most of the time it's just because of the size and population and the number of electors that they have to deal with.
Very good. And so I'll just echo the deputy mayor's comments. I think it was a great exercise in coordination and cooperation. So I'm going to call the question on the third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried on third reading. And so now I'm moving on to item number 11D, which is the waste and recycling collection agreement. Councillor Hunter.
Move by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CEO to execute an agreement with HGC Management Incorporated for curbside collection of solid waste and recyclables, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Vote to call the question on first and second reading. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Go ahead with third reading, Councillor
Move by
Hunter.
myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CEO to execute an agreement with HGC Management Incorporated for curbside collection of solid waste and recyclables be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-05.
And calling the question on third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And again, now with the passage of this bylaw, the township will enter into a new waste and recycling collection agreement with a new company after many years with the existing provider. But was a competitive tender, and there was a significant difference in the tendered prices. And council went, of course, with the low tender on this particular service contract. And now I'm moving to item number 11E, which is the vaccination policy update. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt a COVID-19 vaccination policy, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any, on this vaccination policy. Well discussed at the committee level. And the CAO assures us that it has been discussed through the staffing, proper staffing format. Anyway, first and second reading, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. You can proceed to third reading.
Thank you. Once again, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter, that a bylaw to adopt a COVID-19 vaccination policy be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-06.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor for third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any?
Yep.
You're opposed. Okay, so I'm gonna call it carried and then one opposed. And you didn't call for recorded votes, so I'm just saying you would have if you wanted to. All right, I'm now on 11F, which is the 2022 Industrial Park wastewater budget. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to impose sewer rates for users of the sanitary sewer system on County Road 2 and in the Edwardsburg Cardinal Industrial Park, and this shall constitute the second reading, first and second reading thereof.
Okay, first and second reading. Those in favor? Motion is carried, and it is carried unanimously. Can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that a bylaw to impose sewer rates for the users of the sanitary sewer system on County Road 2 and in Edwardsburg Cardinal Industrial Park be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-07.
Thank you very much.
Question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, just the bylaw, the bold at the beginning. I just want to clarify in open session here that the County Road number 2 that we're talking about is the portion in the industrial park. Is that correct? Because we have referred to the project County Road number 2 in the village of Cardinal. Now, when I read through the briefing notes here, I was somewhat convinced that yes, this applies to the industrial park. So I would just like clarification on public record that the portion mentioned County Road 2 is not in the village of Cardinal, but in the industrial park.
So through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you, Mr. CIO.
Okay, and so that gets your question answered.
It does, thank you.
Okay, and a slight increase in the rates there. And I'm going to call the question on third reading of that bylaw. Those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you. All right, now I'm on 11G, which is a motion to stop up, close, and convey parts of an unopened road allowance. And Councillor Hunter, you have that motion.
I do. Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey unopened road allowances between lot 24 and lot 25 between concession 6 and 7, identified as part 3, pin 68141-0123, 6, pin 68142-0373, 9, pin number 68142-0346, and 11, pin number 68142-0347 on plan 15R5311 in the geographical township of Edwardsburg, Cardinal, County of Brentwood, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, about to call first and second reading. Discussion, if any, well discussed at the committee level. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried and it's carried unanimously. You can proceed to third reading, Councillor.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the bylaw to stop up, close, and convey unopened road allowances between lot 24 and lot 25 between concession 6 and 7 identified as part 3, pin 68141-0123 and 6 pin 68142-0373, 9 pin 68142-0346, and 11 pin 68142-0347 on Plan 15R 5311 in the geographical township of Edgeworthsburg, Township of Edgeworthsburg, Cardinal, County of Grenville, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-08.
Thank you very much. Calling the question on third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried and is carried unanimously. And just by way of explanation, all of this land, as Councillor Hunter has identified through various PIN numbers, all exists, and this unopened road allowance exists on land that is completely surrounded by the owner to whom we will be conveying these unopened road allowance lands. And there would never be any possibility of opening these road allowance. This is an old and historic unopened road allowance that's finally been identified as a result of an estate settlement. So now I'm moving to item number 12 on the agenda, which is the CAO's administrative update. I'll ask the deputy mayor to bring forward the motion after the CAO has put forward and spoken to his administrative update, which is now on the table. To the CAO, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to note with respect to the Small Business and Trade Show, it has been rescheduled for March 24th to the 26th. It was supposed to go late February this year. Also want to bring your attention with respect to the Butter Compensation Program. We've had a developer that is interested in the program. The development that they're looking at is outside the municipality. So sort of provided a brief overview of the program and waiting for some additional details from the developer to before we proceed in any direction. With respect to building, 166 permits issued in 2021. We welcomed Roger Huntman to the department on January 4th. And as council is aware of, with respect to the Part 8 septic program, as of September 2022, the health unit will no longer be looking after that program. And we're in discussions with respect to Conservation Authority and some neighboring municipalities on options. Bylaw. So we've a steady month of monitoring and addressing winter parking infractions with a number of additional education opportunities, warnings, and parking infraction tickets issued. As you can see, with the upcoming meeting schedule, we have a number of meetings with respect to budget. The meeting on February 9th to consider the engineer's report on the Newport Municipal Drain, and also a public meetings for zoning bylaw amendment on February 22nd, along with our regular meetings.
Just before I go on, Mr. Grant, I just want to go to the Port Management Committee meeting, which is shown on the report as February the 16th. And need some help from council here, but I think it was determined that we would move that meeting to the 23rd.
That is exactly what I was going to ask, Mr. Mayor, and I believe you're correct.
So my apologies.
Well, you don't attend those meetings, so I can understand you missing that, but just so that your report reflects that it will be the 23rd.
So that will be the 23rd. That will be the state. Thank you for that clarification.
Go ahead.
Treasury, just pretty exciting news that the letter folding machine has arrived, and installation and training completed by staff on January 18th.
Watch your fingers.
Exactly. Just with recreation and facilities, just with respect to the winter contracts, usually in March 15th, we'll delay the start of the spring program until April 4th to allow leagues to finish up their regular season playoffs, as we anticipate that they'll be back in operation as of January 31st. Just to note that the monthly COVID-19 vaccination clinic took place on the 18th and between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And the next clinic is scheduled for February 15th. Operations Public Works, I want to note that staff have been busy responding to several winter events during the last month. Just for an example, over 100 loads of snow have been removed from Spencerville alone. Also wanted to advise council with respect to vehicles, with respect to the 3/4 ton for the 2020 budget, that a RFQ was issued, but there were no submissions received by the closing time of January 18th. And 2 of the dealers indicated 2022 units were not available, and we will review some alternative options and bring that back to committee and council. Transfer site, just respect to the Christmas tree program. Pickup took place in Cardinal, Johnstown, New Exford, and Spencerville between January 3rd and 14th. Also, with respect to public works, with the Spencerville drainage, survey work revealed 8 areas at various intersections within the scope of work where the existing right-of-way extends onto private property. So we will be looking to advise those particular property owners. Hopefully we will get those letters delivered later this week, and hopefully we can get the consent, and this will have little impact on the project. Environmental services, most of it routine operations. Of note, just want to mention with the cargo distribution system that the initial reconstruction or engineering meeting with Jewel Engineering took place in January, and that with respect to the flow meters at the Cardinal Water Treatment Plant and Spencer Cardinal Water Treatment Plant, Cardinal Wastewater Treatment Plant, and Spencerville lagoons, that the annual flow verifications were completed. With municipal drains, with respect to the Ferguson municipal drain, it's an updated assessment schedule that reapportions properties where land severances have occurred since the original assessment schedule has now been received by from Rear Galloway Group. And this report will be coming to the February Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities meeting. With respect to fire department, regular training and all other non-emergency activities was canceled for the month of January. The fire department has also put in a request for the rapid antigen tests from the province. Of note, under training, 4 officers completed a blended incident safety officer course through the Leeds and Thousand Islands Regional Training Center. Under facilities, backup generator at Station 1 failed its monthly test and required a battery replacement. I guess through the holiday season, the fire department was very busy. Dispatched to 6 motor vehicle collisions, and activated an alarm and a medical assist between Christmas and New Year's. I guess finally, our 2021 compliance report has been submitted and reviewed by our field officer and forwarded to his supervisor for final approval.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Grant. And now I'm just going to open the floor for questions, and I see Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the CAO, and it's on page 184 regarding the COVID vaccination clinic. Do we have any numbers as to how many people went through the clinic on the 18th of January?
Through the chair, unfortunately, I don't have those numbers with me tonight.
Okay, perhaps another time. Thank you. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Can I follow up on that question? Do they take walk-ins at that clinic, or is it all booking?
So through the chair, the preference is to have appointments booked, but they are accepting walk-ins.
Okay, so we can tell people that they should make appointments for the 15th, but they forget to make an appointment, they can take their chances.
Yeah, yes, and that would be open for first, second, or booster shots.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Grant? So I don't want to, okay, Councillor Hunter.
Under our severance application in David Street, when is that coming before the board
Severance application where?
on David Street?
David Street.
David Street severance.
I think that's already come through council and gone to counties,
Yeah.
and then it became the subject of an LPAT hearing,
Yeah.
right?
When's the hearing meeting?
Well, right now, I believe that hearing is scheduled for February 15th, although there have been minutes of settlement that are being worked on with respect to that.
Yeah. Basically, as I understand it, the agreement has been reached that the hearing will not take place. And we're now in the process of waiting minutes of settlement that will end the hearing.
That's not costing the township any.
Yes, it is.
Why are we paying?
Good question. I think the cost of the township is, if I recall correctly, $800 and some dollars.
Correct. It is. It would be $875. The application, the appeal application fees.
And I believe, if I got it correct, that the recommendation from legal counsel was that if we were to proceed to the hearing, our cost would far exceed that amount. And the recommendation from legal counsel was that this was the most economical way to end the issue, although legal counsel indicated that the result would be the same in either case. It was just a question of dollars.
Correct. This is the most efficient way to resolve the issue from a financial perspective.
So I think at this point, I know that I'm influenced by the advice of legal counsel. I think Mr. Grant has been also. If counsel has a different viewpoint, perhaps it should have been brought to council, but we proceeded on the same basis with the previous LPAT hearing, which I think influenced our decision making. But we stand to be corrected, and that can be done.
I don't agree with us paying.
So there were two choices: proceed with the hearing.
I know there's two choices.
There were no third options.
Other option is, this option is the one that starts it all ends up paying nothing.
That's correct.
Yes, you're correct.
And I have asked that question of Mr. CAO at past meetings. And it is not recoverable.
No.
We're actually paying her costs.
Well, the question is, we're going to pay one way or another. There's no question about that. And it's either 875 or 5,000, 6,000, whatever our legal costs are. But they will be excessive. It will not be like our legal costs for the hearing would, and I think the hearing, if I recall correctly, was a 3-day schedule, was it not? Was it a 3-day schedule?
As of right now, it would be it's scheduled for 3 days.
Right. So the hearing has not been abandoned. I mean, this has been proposed to be abandoned. So, I mean, if council wants to review this decision or this recommendation, I guess is the best way to phrase it. If council wants to review that, we can certainly do that. Counselor?
Yes,
No, wait a minute. I don't think Counselor Hunter's finished.
go ahead.
That's just my opinion. I go along with well, Councilor.
Council.
Well, this just brings me to another question and through the chair to the CAO. If we continue on with this and we, let's say, win, can we recoup any money if we do win?
So through the chair, no. And I understand some of the frustration that members of council have, but I reviewed everything and looked at the best option for the entire township with respect to the impact to all taxpayers, and decided that this was the appropriate mechanism. And I understand that my decision is probably not unanimously supported by council. But I did direct legal to proceed in this direction for the minutes of 7.
No, I just thought, Mr. Mayor, that we could, at the final, if we won, perhaps there was a clause we could put in that would make the individual pay the costs.
Well,
That, I guess that's not.
well, I stand to be corrected, but my understanding that at this LPAT level of dispute resolution, that the tribunal does not have power to award costs back to either the proponent or the defendant. They just do not have that power.
So they don't have the same powers
As
as
a
an OMB.
No, and they don't have the power that a judge has in a courtroom either. That's my understanding. Stand to be corrected, but that's the way I understand the process. Okay, are there any further questions to the CAO? I just have a couple of items that I wanted to speak to, and I draw your attention to page 183 of 188. Which is the CAO's reference to an inquiry from a developer interested in the butternut compensation program. Now, I have not seen an application or anything here. It's just an inquiry. But my concern comes with the second sentence. The development that's going to occur is outside the municipality. The butternut compensation farm is inside our municipality. And I guess the point that I wanted, and I have made it with the CAO, is that we established that butternut compensation program so that we would have butternut trees available should a developer within our township become or see the need. So in this case, the CAO is flagging to us that this developer is doing a development which is outside the municipality. So just mentioning that to council, because if an application comes forward, council will have to deal with it. And the other thing I wanted to just bring to council's attention is on page 184 of 188, where the CAO reports that an RFQ, a request for quotations for a 3/4 ton truck, received no submissions by the closing date. I just want to mention to council that at county council, we've seen exactly the same thing insofar as we've had to order our 2022 trucks in early to late 2021. And at the last committee of the whole meeting, we learned that if we wanted trucks in 2023, heavy trucks in 2023, and we generally buy 3 each year, we should be ordering them now in early 2022. Just does not seem to be product available in that market. So just flagging those items for council's information. Go ahead.
Exactly the one question that I had, and I was going to save it for budget, but because I assume this will come back in budget. Is it through the mayor to the CAO? Was it that the 2022s just aren't available, or is it that they're not available for 55,000, that they needed to be 70 or 75,000?
So through the chair, it is my understanding that they were just not available. We didn't stipulate that it had to be under a certain price for the bid.
That was a request for quotation.
Correct.
They may or may not have heard our budget discussions.
Correct.
And are there any other questions before I ask the deputy mayor to bring forward the motion to approve the CAO's report? If you would then, please.
I will. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council receives the CAO's administrative report as presented.
Thank you very much. Those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm on to item number 13 on the agenda. And item number 13 is council inquiries or notices of motion. Are there any inquiries here this evening or notices of motion? Hearing none, I'm about to move on. So I'm moving on to item number 14, which is the mayor's report. And I have about 4 or 5 items I'd like to talk about just briefly. So first concerns the Prismian warehouse, because earlier at an earlier meeting, I had indicated to you that the project manager intended to complete the project by February the 1st, and he was hoping to hold some sort of an open house, or Prismian was hoping to hold some sort of an open house prior to that happening. But with the COVID situation, I've heard nothing more. I have no notice and no information to report. I just didn't want you to think that that had fallen through the cracks. I think there's a reason for it. The second thing I wanted to report that because this is a public meeting, I already sent a notice to councillors during the day. The St. Lawrence Corridor Economic Development Commission announcement, which was expected in December, was rescheduled twice actually to mid-January, and then from mid-January to earlier to later, and it's scheduled actually to take place today. And that was canceled, and I'm under the impression that it will take place tomorrow. And as a matter of fact, this afternoon, I did receive an invitation to a Zoom meeting from Minister Clark's office. Actually, it's from the combined Minister Clark's office and the St. Lawrence Corridor Economic Development Commission. Council is aware that I've asked the council members to stay after this meeting. Now, I just want to go then to the next item on my agenda, 2 items concerning the Port of Johnstown. It's already been indicated that the Port of Johnstown presented their 2021 year-end review at the port meeting, I think was on the 19th. And so the year-end review indicates that the port has had an excellent year. Gross revenues exceeded $8 million for the first time. Expenses were very tightly controlled during the year. And the net to the township has been extremely satisfying. It should be noted that during the year, the port transferred $793,000 to the township. $781,000 was directly to the township's operating account, and $12,000 was also allocated to the Ingredient Arena payments. And just in reference to the $781,000 that went directly to the port, to the township's operating account, that represents actually 13% on the township tax rate. The treasurer has indicated to us that in 2021, 1% on the town, 1% increase on the township's taxation rate would raise only $60,000. The port provided $781,000. That's a 13% reduction in tax rate to the private residential taxpayer. Now, just to put it in perspective, if a private residential taxpayer's property is assessed at $200,000 in 2021, that was $175,000 in savings. If the property assessment was $300,000, it was a $262,000 saving. And if your property assessment was $400,000, that 13%, $781,000 from the port was a $350,000 saving to the residential taxpayer. All good news for the residential taxpayers from the Port of Johnstown, to all taxpayers. Just speaking also a little bit further on the Port of Johnstown, the township and the port will close the deal to purchase the property at 2822 sometime prior to February the 18th. Now that is the former Prescott Machine and Welding property and the former BBL Energy property. And we're very disappointed that BBL Energy was not able to get their project up and operating. But we did see an opportunity, a strategic property purchase for the port's future use. Prior to closing this deal, the township through the port, did 60 days of due diligence on the property, and council is aware of the building condition, and we are aware of the repairs and maintenance that will be required. Just also want to other good news from the port. It was reported that the port has now successfully completed and received total sign-off from the National Trade Corridor Fund for the successful completion of the new spout project. And this year, we loaded 13 ships with those new spouts. We loaded 3 ships of corn for 42,000 metric tons outbound. And we loaded 10 ships of soybeans for 182,000 metric tons of soybeans outbound from the Port of Johnstown. One last thing, I wanted to thank publicly, because this is a public meeting, our community volunteers who have served on the Administration and Finance Committee for the past year or so. Mr. Jack Bradley and Mr. Dave Robertson have both resigned from the committee various times for various reasons, but just wanted to publicly thank them. And one last thing for the attention of council, the international plowing match, the 2022 international plowing match, which is the first plowing match since 2019. 2021 was canceled and 2020 was canceled. But the 2022 international plowing match will be held in Kempville, sponsored by Kempville during the month of September. So that's my report, and I would ask Deputy Mayor Deschamps to bring forward the motion to receive the mayor's report.
I have it underneath my file. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Buchanan, that the municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. Questions, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. And now I'm proceeding to item number 15 on the agenda, which is the question period, and we have nobody in the gallery, and I don't see anybody on the Zoom. So to the clerk, have you had any inquiries from the public for question period?
Through the chair, no, we have not received any for this council meeting.
Thank you very much. Item number 16, closed session. We have none this evening. So the chair's at item number 17, the confirmation bylaw, Councillor Campbell.
Yes, thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hunter, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-09.
Thank you very much. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now the chair's at item number 18 and looking for the motion to adjourn, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, the council does now adjourn at 8:19 p.m.
8:19 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And we are adjourned. And can you